All right, you're looking at live pictures, and no, that's not Sarah Palin, but we're expected any minute to be hearing from both the Donald and the former vice presidential nominee. Listen, a live shot out of Ames, Iowa. And again,
Mick Jagger, call your lawyer.
Yes, Mick Jagger, call your lawyer. Exactly, Andrew. The second time the Stones has been referenced. While we're waiting to hear from them, though, I want to talk a little Democrats here because we saw the debate on Sunday night. Hillary Clinton, she went definitely after Bernie Sanders on, among other issues, guns, but she also tied herself closely to one President Obama. Take a listen.
President Obama has led our country out of the Great Recession. That is one of the greatest accomplishments of President Obama. I'm going to defend President Obama for taking on Wall Street.
And before Bernie said he wouldn't blast Hillary, even while he criticized Bill.
We've been through this. Yes, his behavior was deplorable. Have I ever once said a word about that issue? No, I have not. I'm going to debate Secretary Clinton and Governor Malley on the issues facing the American people, not Bill Clinton's personal behavior.
I will not insult, although I just did. All right, the race is very tight for the Democrats in both Iowa and New Hampshire, the first states, as you know, that will vote. And that is causing Hillary Clinton's people to start prepping for a long, hard primary fight here. If you saw the Times story, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of money, and also not something they think will be a quick knockout at all. And conceivably, she could lose the first two states. Who would have thought, though, Dom, that Hillary, who was, we believe, 6 months ago going to run away from the Obama legacy and everything else, now she's doing everything she can to latch on to it. Things have turned around surprisingly quick for, you've heard some of the scuttlebutt that the people internally in the campaign say it was a big mystery. They should have gone after Sanders much earlier. It's more than that, isn't it? That they still haven't created a compelling reason why this time's different than 8 years ago, right?
Well, the Clinton folks ought to be careful. Let me be clear. She's going to be the nominee. South Carolina is her firewall. After South Carolina, this is over, period. The media is bored, so, you know, Sanders is doing a little better.
Just historically, the only one who ever lost Iowa and New Hampshire and won was her husband. So usually the first two states matter as something.
Okay, but in this case, the moment you introduce, frankly, black voters, it's a wrap for Bernie Sanders. They're not going to vote for him. And that vote, the reason why she was wrapping herself in the Obama legacy, if you will, look at where the debate was held. It's very important. In South Carolina, the Charleston area, 1 block from the black church where all those people were killed in church. She was playing to the black base. Remember, Richard, the media is saying she's playing to Obama, blah, 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 blah. She needs these black folks to turn out. That turned out in record numbers for Obama. Without that, she's in trouble. So she was playing to the general election as well.
You think it's pro forma in that the question is not if she wins, but how long it takes for her to put this thing away?
We spent the last segment talking about the far right's influence on the Republican Party, and I think it's a legitimate narrative to discuss the left as represented by Bernie Sanders' candidacy and its impact on mainstream Democrats. When Hillary Clinton talks about, I stand by and I defend President Obama's record of taking on Wall Street, I'm thinking, well, we don't have a record of President Obama taking on Wall Street, right? The criticism was coming out of the Great Recession, too big to fail. He embraced the Bush policies. He didn't let them go out of business. He didn't take a big bank into the middle of town square, shoot it, and show everybody that that could happen and the economy doesn't collapse. So there's a bit of revisionist history going on here. I think it's important what Sanders is doing. I think it's important that he's raising millions and millions of dollars because people are saying we're not so comfortable with this candidacy. But demographics favor Secretary Clinton's eventual nomination. And these articles we should have taken on, woulda, shoulda, coulda, it's going to be a slog. They're managing expectations because nobody managed expectations when Obama walked away with Iowa. So it was, I think this is just
people,
politics.
At the end of the day, guy he's got the crazy shock of white hair. He's a socialist from Vermont. He's got the Brooklyn accent. Is this really more people saying, you know what, don't take us for granted, this is more of a protest thing? Or if you're in the Clinton camp, do you say, this thing could get real? We lose the first two states here. All of a sudden, you know, this thing's real.
It makes her, it presents her as a likely eventual nominee without a clear mandate, with a real trouble, weak, exposed left flank. And it sort of speaks to the paucity of the Democratic field that we don't have a compelling governor, running, that we don't even have an ambitious, successful member of Congress with a national brand or a former U.S. senator.
But once you get past Sanders, there's nobody who's going to attack Hillary from her left flank. And this will actually wind up, I think, helping Hillary in the long run because it sends the clarion call out to the African-American voters. Hey, we need you in South Carolina. We need you on Super Tuesday. She's going to need all those voters and then some on Election Day.
But could it possibly drive a wedge or underscore the differences between the far left and the black community? I don't know.
We'll keep this conversation going on the other side. We're also waiting in Ames, Iowa for, yes, the Donald and Sarah Palin, the dream team, if you will, here to join us on stage. Plus, we'll talk about some local races as well, making news around our neck of the woods. Stay with us.